Welcome to the Live Courageously podcast show, and I'm your host, John Duffy, and this is episode 70. Live Courageously has been the conscious theme of my life for the past 3 years since the beginning of the pandemic, and has been an unconscious theme for most of my life. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. And there's something contagious about someone who is courageous. So today's show is with my good brother, Todd Speciale. And Todd Speciale is recognized as a motivational guru, along with being an integrity-based, authentic leader, promoting real change, who has built record-breaking sales and leadership teams that have yielded record-breaking outcomes. He's a CEO and founder of Make Sales Great Again, MSGA, teaches businesses, sales, and leadership to the masses, including to CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies. And he's helped generate over $800 million in revenues for the companies that he has served. He's also the CSO, Chief Sales Officer of Apex Roofing and Restoration, a $140 million company growing insanely fast nationwide. He's been nicknamed the culture creator, and going into major corporations with huge teams and completely transforming the way they work with one another, combined with a doctorate, and I love this, in street education, to have held multiple C-level roles, and you get the world's most sought-after business leader. He's a 3-time best-selling author with his third book, his masterpiece called The Ultimate Sales Bible, which just hit the shelves in Barnes & Nobles globally in March of 2024, and is also available anywhere on Amazon. He has spoken on stages with names like Ashton Kutcher, James Canfield, Daniel Delgado, Ty Lopez, and a good friend of ours, Jason Cisneros. So with all that, welcome, brother Todd, man. Welcome to Live Courageously.
What's happening, Johnny? Good to be here, brother.
Hey, good to have you, man. I always like to start off the show kind of letting my guests, my audience know, like, how did I meet my guests? Because most of my guests are friends and people I know personally. So I don't know if you remember the first time we met, but I do. So let me ask you, what's your remembrance of that?
I actually, John, I don't remember the first time we met. Remind me, because I know we always catch up, we see each other places, but I don't remember the exact time.
Well, the first time we met was at a relatively small event at this thing called City Gala in Los Angeles.
That's right.
And you got up and spoke, and what was unique about it, I'm listening to you and I'm like, there was a lot of speakers, there was a lot of motivational people, a lot of blah, 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 blah. And, what was unique was that, you were just, it was just real. You were street, you were real, you spoke from the heart. You didn't run that typical, sales stuff that everybody did, And so after, we got to connect there, and then we later connected in Chicago when you were part of that event out in Chicago when I came out there, which was, and I'm forgetting the name of it, what that was called, that you were one of the coaches on.
Oh yeah, that was with Jason. That was oh my gosh, Impactor. Great.
The greatest impact. So it was kind of like the Apprentice kind of motivational type show.
That's right.
Yeah. So we all hung out there.
Who won that thing again? Which coach won that?
So a woman won it.
No, it was me.
Oh no, what coach? No, I thought you were saying which person won it.
No,
you're saying which coach won it.
That's right. Tamara Hunter won that, and she's an extraordinary human being. She was one of my amazing people that we had on our team. It was fantastic. But I always like to rub it in with the other coaches.
Well, there was some serious competition going on between you and our good brother Jason Cisneros as to who is going to be the winning coach. So. Yeah, that's something I do. And then, of course, we all went out and did karaoke together. And I think there was some alcohol involved, but I can't remember that.
Karaoke, nice little bar, some alcohol for sure. It was definitely fun.
Yeah. And then one of the guys who's on right now is Christopher Kaysen. He was one of the ones there. So he's watching us today. So, yes, the next impactor.
Yeah, he said.
He's hitting you, Todd. He's saying that you won because Jason and him wanted to be gracious to you.
Listen, you know what? I love Chris so much. I'm okay with him saying I'm good with that.
That exactly, because Chris is such a special young man. You can't help but be good with that coming from him.
That's right.
But, so that's kind of how we met. And then we met each other at different events, and we were at Jason Cisneros' wedding and everything down in South Carolina.
Yeah.
My other question I always like to ask is, what does live courageously mean to you?
Yeah, man. It's listen, I love the name. I love the name of the show, and I love the context you use it. And I think it's redefined by each individual, right? Because I always tell people that your heart isn't like my heart isn't harder than yours, right? Like you could have, just because I grew up with no money and I didn't have like any, my family didn't have a lot of financial advantage in life, let's say. I can't say that my heart was harder than yours. So I always say what live courageously basically means to you, how hard your heart is doesn't outweigh mine, and mine doesn't outweigh yours. So for instance, because we didn't have a lot of money financially, and myself growing up in a less than perfectly financial environment, we had more love than anybody in the world. Now I could say live courageously is going out and finding the people that can love you the way you're supposed to be loved. Let's say someone didn't have love like I had growing up. They could be living courageously, continuously searching and not giving up for that. I also think that in a broad effect, vague effect, for me, live courageously is just fighting for everything that I know that I'm capable of becoming and wanting, and not letting anyone ever stop me from becoming the person I know that I can become. So, and it was a long, hard haul for me. At that event in LA that you were just speaking about, I remember so many things about that event. I've told the story a million times, but yeah, I was myself. And I remember my dad passing away just before that event happened. And I told my dad, I'm going to be myself on stage, and people are going to love it or they're not. That's also living courageously, because that was the first event that I'd spoken at where there was actually some real people there. There was some pretty big names at that event. And I remember I just needed to be myself. I promised my father I'd be myself. I promised the people around me that I would be myself. And I remembered that living courageously in that moment was not trying to do everything everybody else was doing. Be perfectly okay being myself. One of my favorite quotes is, be you, they'll adjust. Very simple, 4 words, be you, they'll adjust. That's also living courageously, in my opinion. So I think it's defined differently for everyone, John. And I know that wasn't probably a specific answer for you, but I think it means something differently to every person.
No, I love that answer, and I love that 4 words: be you, they'll adjust. I mean, I think that was what was, because there was different people there, and Jason's one of those people. When I heard him speak, he was another person too, but you brought that authentic message. You weren't trying to be somebody else. You weren't trying to copy someone else to be like them. You were just you. And, it was like, either you like me, you don't like me. And some people didn't like your message, quite frankly. I mean, some of it was a little too hard. I mean, it came too hard for people, because some people wanted sugar coated and they wanted nicer, and, they wanted packaged in some kind of like soft thing for themselves. But that's not where you came from. You came hard, you came real. Yeah. And that's why I related to it, because I was like, that soft stuff was just too fake for me, and this was more real.
Yeah. So, what's funny, John, is that was the first time I met Cisneros too. And he walked up to me and he goes, compliment me like he does, being very, very polite. And, as a mentor, not even knowing me yet, he walks up and he says, dude, that was fantastic. He goes, these people needed to hear that. And I remember walking out of that place, because there's a whole backstory to it. We won't get into it. I've told the story 100 times. But when I got done speaking and I was super real on stage, I walked out of that, place. And I remember walking outside. I looked up and said, Dad, I did it. And I did it because I told you I would, and I was going to be authentically myself. And there was a line of people handing me cards to speak at their event. I'd never spoken on any stage, with that many people that were somewhat, names, if you will, in an environment like that yet. And then at the next day, the big stage, which is what I was told I was going to be speaking on, was that massive stage that Cisneros spoke on, and Antonella Delgado and Noel Lee and Steinbrenner and all these, Jack Canfield, all these individuals. I was told I was going to be on that stage. So I got swindled even coming out to that damn place. Now, I didn't expect to be on that stage, because I wasn't a name like those people yet. And I will tell you that it's okay that I wasn't. But, when I got off the stage, I remember coming out of that place, there was a line of people asking me, man, these guys needed to hear that. These guys need to hear that. Finally, someone that just tells people like it is. And it was funny you say that it didn't resonate with some people, because I remember Jason coming to me and said, hey, Todd, that was amazing. You did everything right. He goes, but that's only about 40% of who you are and what you're capable of becoming. And I always tell Jason all the time that moment when he said, you're at 40%, has stuck with me forever. Right.
Wow.
because 40%, and I'll never forget it. And he laughs every time I bring it up because he's shocked that I remember that. But he also knows me well enough to know that I'm going to kick his ass. I'm going to go after everything, right? That he said, we talk about negative and positive motivation. Like negative motivation gets me going, right? Tell me I can't do something and I'm going to do it, right? And I'm also a very positive motivational guy. So I like the positive side too. But when I'm like challenged, I like taking that challenge and saying, listen, you're saying I can't do it. Well, I'm going to do it. And here's why. Just watch me. I'm not going to tell you about it. We're not going to have a conversation about it. You're just going to come to me and ask me how I did it. That's how I am as a man, right? Now, I wasn't always that way. So when I went out to speak at that event, they were coming out asking me, or some people, you're right, like, man, that didn't resonate. You shouldn't have been so aggressive. And I looked at them, I said, listen, there's going to be people that are going to be for you, and there's going to be people that aren't going to be for you. And I'm not for everyone. Neither are you for everyone. Now, that being said, just because I'm not for you doesn't mean I'm going to change who I am to appease someone like you who doesn't resonate with someone like me. Now, it's not a bad thing that you don't resonate with me, but I'm not going to change who I am for anybody. My message is going to be clear, and my message is going to be the same. So I think for me, like coming up the way that I did and growing up and going through those hardships and everything I've gone through in my life, as we've all gone through a lot of stuff, at that moment, it was a really big turning point in my life where I was just like, listen, promised my dad I was going to be me. I am going to be me. And there's not a person in the world that's going to change that.
Well, I always say I get put in places and I meet people, and obviously it's not my plan that I didn't expect to meet him. I didn't expect to meet you. I wasn't even expecting to go to that event that night, but I did, right? And so you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to connect with for a lifetime, and it's going to be a link for a connection forever. But that's kind of how life is, and when you're real, that's who you connect with. At least I do. I connect with people who strike me as real because I grew up in the bottom. I grew up in the streets. And like when some of your talk, and tell us a little bit about it, because like your book, and we'll get into your new book in a little bit. But you talk about from the pool halls, and you shared a little bit in that speech about your background, in gambling and pools, and it wasn't like the traditional thing. You didn't come from a background of Harvard and any of that crazy thing. You came from the street in a different way, and you took that. So share a little bit about that background with people.
Yeah, for sure, man. Listen, again, grew up in very humble beginnings. And I think sometimes when you're kind of forced into situations financially, sometimes as a human being, you don't have a choice. You have to make moves that are going to be better for you and your family. And I was kind of in those positions where I was like, look, I'm going to start doing something to be able to earn money, to be able to support myself at the very least, right? So I don't give that burden on my mom and dad. And that was when I was 16 years old. I was like, I just want to make money, right? I want to hustle. And started selling vacuum sweepers door to door, 15 years old. Walked by a pool hall one day, saw tons of cash sitting on different pool tables, thought it was super cool. Walked in the pool hall at literally latter part of my 16th year of life. And I remember sitting there and I see all this cash everywhere. I'm like, dude, this is the coolest shit ever. Like I see these guys gambling. And now, so every day after school, my high school, I literally went to that pool and I sat there sometimes till 9, 10 o'clock at night. So you're talking from 2:30 until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I just sat there and just like people watched. That's what people like to say these days, that people watched. So when anybody asks me where I learned how to negotiate and sell, it's in a pool hall. Because here's why, John. If I'm watching John Duffy and he's playing Jason Cisneros, and Jason Cisneros is way worse than John Duffy at pool. But somehow John Duffy is getting Jason Cisneros to give him a handicap. I'm like, what's going on? Like John's way better at pool than Jason. How is this even happening? And I remember this guy coming up to me. I won't mention his name, but I remember him coming up to me and he said, "Hey, kid," he goes, "I know you're probably thinking like, why this guy's giving me the handicap. It's called weight and pool, right? Why is he giving me weight and pool?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, And he goes, "Because gambling isn't gambling when you know you're going to win." And he said, "So when you negotiate, make sure, biggest tip I can give you, that you got the edge, right?" Now, that was hustling, and that sure isn't selling. As you can see in my shirt, great line is not great selling. There's a big difference between selling and negotiation. But I watched these guys negotiate the action in this pool hall, from gin, cribbage, tonk, pinochle, billiards, 9-ball, 8-ball, straight pool, one pocket. I mean, it was just a lifestyle. And I sat there for 6 months before I ever picked up a stick. And then I picked up a stick and I held it left-handed, but I'm right-handed. It's weird. So I started gambling, making a lot of money playing pool, man. And that book was just the book that I just finished was 4.5 years of me writing it. But a lot of it was the history of me growing up in that gambling world, was how I learned how to negotiate and sell, which I will tell you is the best negotiation and the best education you can get, in my opinion, in the streets, watching people hustle one another in a gambling environment. You just learn the angles, you learn to read people. Then I got into poker, and I was running card games for about 10 years. And, you can read people very well. Body movement, facial expressions, how they use their hands. There's a lot of different things their mannerisms. I would learn so much without anyone talking at all. I can tell you how they think and what they feel without them talking, because I got to really learn how to read people for a living playing poker. So if you combine learning how to read people and then the art of negotiation and the sales process together, and then the other side of bluffing, right? When you're in a poker hand, you got to act like you have something that you don't. Those tools really created, this book, and it's 547 pages. I know we'll get into it later, but that book was spawned. My career was spawned from a pool hall and a poker room background. And I think it's some of the lessons in education that most people don't get in life, man, right? Like you go to high school and then you go to college, you don't get that. So I wanted to share that and what I've learned with everybody in the world, with also practical selling methodology that works today, not stuff that's outdated like a lot of these books.
Well, that's kind of, we'll get into all that in the sales thing, because I've done some sales in my life, and some of the lessons you talk about are lessons that resonate with me, and especially your shirt about great lying is not great selling. And I mean, that's a lesson I think that really is important. And I learned that in one of the first times I was working as a salesperson at Jack LaLanne health clubs back in the day, where my sales manager was a liar. And I wasn't going along with that program, but we'll get to that. But get back to your stuff. This whole thing about learning in the pool hall, learning in gambling, all that gave you a unique background to take into what you've done in life and with sales. I'm going to play, if you don't mind, I'm going to play a little video of you from YouTube to give people an idea of a little bit of both your sales background, your speaking background, and just kind of let them see what people are saying, and then we'll come back to have the conversation. So give me a minute. I'm going to set that as we go right now. And while we're doing that, I'm going to share my screen. And here we go.
I mean, I have people come to me and go, man, you got a lot of haters. And I go, really? That's cool. Because if you don't have haters, you're not doing something important enough for them to care.
Over 9 years ago, I was scrounging change on a trash can just to be able to get enough money to eat.
Todd Speciale is going to be the #1 motivational speaker on the planet.
The message has to change. If there's personal development coaches, if there's people actually speaking that they want to change lives and help other people, don't speak it, live it.
He's just an amazing guy, what he does. And he pardon the term, he's got balls. Because he stood up in front of a group of motivational speakers, a lot of phonies, to be honest with you, that charge people a lot of money to take their courses and things like that. He basically dropped the atom bomb in that room.
Is this the legacy that you want to leave by giving half of what you're worth?
Get to an event where he is speaking. The guy is on fire. He just delivers straight from the heart with passion, and he's there to serve every single person that's in the audience. I love you, brother. I could not recommend this guy anymore. I don't do testimonials. I don't recommend people, but I recommend Todd.
I'm so sick and tired of people making excuses of why they can't do something. I'm over it. The reason why people don't become who they want is because they're too attached to who they are. But at one point in your life, you're going to have to make a decision to change tomorrow to today.
Todd is full of energy. I thought I had high energy till Todd walks in the room, and then it's like he walks in, he pumps people up, gets them going. Doesn't matter what kind of mood you're in, he'll lift your spirit.
I can change your mindset. I can make you think completely different. But you have to believe in yourself and have the faith that you can.
Todd Speciale. He is a motivational speaker, motivational writer, life coach. He wrote this book, The Things I Do Know. Absolutely amazing. He's incredible. Please go out, buy his book, meet this guy. Help yourself, change your life.
Todd Speciale is a one-of-a-kind person. He is an absolute incredible motivation. His story is phenomenal, and it's one of inspiration.
I'm going to motivate you. I'm going to make you think differently, change your mindset of who you want to become. And the difference between me and them is I actually care. I know that Todd Speciale's thinking big.
All right. So back. But that gives people a little bit of a flavor of you on all levels, writing, speaking, your philosophy and everything like that. And that was one of your first books you wrote back a while back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was 2017. It was published November. My dad passed away July. I promised him I'd write the book. And that book was finished 35 days after my dad passed away, as I promised him. That's kind of one of his wishes on his deathbed, that I was holding his hand to finish that book. I kind of pushed it off for a while, but then my dad lit a fire under me, man. He's like, you got to speak on stage. At that point in my life, I had spoken to sales teams and people that I've known, but that stage that you saw me on was the first stage. I kind of stepped outside of my comfort zone into other areas, and obviously since then a lot more stages. But that was the first book that I finished. It went bestseller on Amazon for 9 months, which was fantastic. Then I wrote that one right here. It's called A Bathroom Guide for Closers. It was for a timeshare business. And then I've obviously got, the most recent here. But that was the first book that I wrote. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And then, of course, we went from meeting at that thing to ending up, with a great group of people. This was out in Chicago. When we were hanging in Chicago with some of the folks out there when you won the coaching. Yeah. And then this is with another good, excellent group of people, obviously dear friends, Dom and other folks, Danny. So, we've kind of, a lot of great people have kind of came into your world, my world, all because of, putting ourselves out there and being in those experiences.
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about, and we'll actually get to the book, but your sales philosophy, because like I was saying, I'm going to give you my little quick story and then I want to jump into yours. The first time I did sales was I did it at a health club. And, my manager, the way I was doing sales was I was just, teaching everybody in the gym, and then they was referring people, and I wasn't even selling because I didn't know how to sell, right? And then one time this woman came in to join, and she was like asking me questions, and the manager was there, and she said, well, is there any swimming pools in the club in Manhattan? I said, no, there's no pools. And he looked at me and he looked at her and said, no, there's pools. And I looked at him, I said, no, there's not, And so, I'm like, and so she didn't buy and she left. And then he started getting on my case. And I was like, well, why would you lie to her? That's just going to come back at you. And that's not how you sell. You want somebody to appreciate what you did for them. So I couldn't do what he wanted. So I wasn't a good salesperson in his environment, because I was like, no, you have to be honest and you have to be ethical, and you want to convince people that it's in their interest to join. And it wasn't that hard to sell, but he just felt, well, you lie, you get your commission, and who cares, right? But tell us a little bit about your philosophy. And obviously you learned from the pool hall, you learned from gambling, and then tell us about how that philosophy lives today, and you both as a salesperson, a trainer, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, growing up in the environment I did, I was robbed at gunpoint 3 different times, pistol whipped. I've had a lot of crazy stories I could tell you. And, I feel like a lot of people in today's world, the consumer is getting robbed at gunpoint without the gun. A lot of them are getting pistol whipped without getting pistol whipped, actually going through the action that I had to go to. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's better because they don't have a gun to their head. They can't feel the cold barrel like I did 3 times. They can't feel being pistol whipped like I was. But, their pockets do. Their pockets feel the barrel, and their pockets, feel the pistol whipped and some in the back of their head because they're getting robbed. They're just getting robbed without the gun. I call it financially stealing from people. See, anybody can be a great liar, right? Like you could sell anything if you just lied to about, like, hey, give me $20 and I'll give you 200, right? Sounds too good to be true. What do you mean? Well, give me $20, give you 200. Well, that's, why would anybody do that, right? What's the catch? That's what everybody's always, what's the catch? What's the catch, right? So I think I found that in a lot of industries these days, I was just having a conversation about this with a guy the other day, you cannot fix everybody. Okay. You can go out there and you can help people, and the job is to serve them. A lot of people have haters. And when I was growing up, I was guys like, F the haters, who cares? F the haters. Well, now as I get older, I can tell you, John, that You know, I don't think that way anymore. My job is to turn a hater into a gladiator, do everything I can to serve that person. There's a reason why they're hating. I like to get down to that root thing, find it out, because if you can turn a hater into a part of you and a part of your team as a gladiator by your side, they're some of the strongest people you can have run with you. The problem with that is that it doesn't matter what industry you're in, there's going to be thieves, because some people care more about their pockets than they do about the people. Let me say that again. Some people care more about their pockets than they do the people. And the problem with that is that they don't realize the impact that they are stealing and robbing from someone. They don't realize the impact it has on people's lives. For instance, there are some businesses where they'll sell you a $30,000 piece of air at 14% interest for 10 years and swear it does something that it doesn't, blatantly lying, blatantly stealing from someone. And, you know, I've seen scenarios of those consumers come back extremely mad, and the company doesn't stand behind the consumer. They stand behind the paperwork, and the paperwork gives them a bad reputation, a bad name. And they think that one sale that they pushed to keep, even though consumer is upset and they were lied to, is helping them make money. But they don't realize all the money they're losing on the back end on the referral-based side. You know what one bad referral can, or one bad review can do for you, can ruin your organization. So I created Make Sales Great Again because I realized whether it was timeshare, the car business, insurance business, real estate, I can name any sales business in the world and I can tell you some heat, some bullshit these guys are pitching. You know, like there's that guy, Andy Elliott, on this, oh, Jack, you got to have a six-pack or you're never, ever going to sell anything. He's all online. He's a great marketer. It's great. Okay, fantastic. Good for him. And he's making millions. That's amazing. I wish the best for everybody. Truth is, you don't have to have a six-pack to be able to sell. As long as you do it the right way, as long as you serve people. There's a difference between serving people and selling them. And I think what people do is they don't know how to sell well enough that they start having to lie in order to get the deal, right? And that's just not great for people. That's not good for the company. It's not good for people. And as a leader, I like to show people that you don't have to lie to sell. You don't have to lie to earn. So that's why the name Make Sales Great Again was actually created many years ago. When I started speaking on stages for organizations, whether it be sales and leadership and business development, whatever it was, you know, Make Sales Great Again came with it. Everybody's asking me, why'd you do it? Why? What was the name? Is it political? Well, I actually started that name well before Trump was even had the Make America Great Again. Here's the crazy thing. I wanted to help people start getting back to the way things used to be. My dad was born in 1931. Shake your hand. That was your word was your bond. I talk about all the time, John, right? And I think, you know, you and I can go back to years and years ago. And I know you're a little bit more tenured than I, but I can tell you that I remember days, John, that this was bond. There's no question. You didn't need 857 documents.
Right.
Like, for instance, I know if John tells me he's going to do something, I don't need a contract because I know
right.
John. I know John's going to do it, and vice versa. The problem is nobody believes that anymore. No one can take anyone's word for it. The phrase "what's the catch" is too common. It's too good to be true is also too common. And you know what? The consumers are right. It is too good to be true. There is a catch, and the salespeople just aren't trained well enough to be able to sell people from what their product won't do rather than what it will. And most salespeople, they spew the features and benefits. Oh, look at this, what it does, and glass shiny this, and shiny light this, and it's going to make you all this, going to fix this and fix that. But what they don't realize, there is no one perfect product or service. There just isn't. Okay. Right. There isn't. So we teach people to sell from the negatives. You know, we're talking about Andy Elliott. He's like, oh, I got a six pack. You know, there was one time he says to me, or he says to a group of people that he was training. It was in car sales. He says, man, he goes, what is an expensive car payment to you, John? Tell me what an expensive car payment is to you, John. Any number. What do you think a monthly is expensive? Do you think?
$1,000
a month. Okay. He said, well, John, that's you. You think it's 1,000 because now you're selling out of your own pocket. What if somebody didn't think 2,000, wasn't cheap? You're selling out of your pocket because you think it's expensive. Now, although there's some validity there, not a ton, but there's some validity there. I get where he's going with it. He says, just think, if you told somebody $1,000, but you could sell them a $2,000 payment, that means they'll pay it off twice as fast. And I'm going, God, if you have a $1,000 payment in the term 72 months, you sell them a more expensive car, and it's $2,000 in the term 72 months. You're not paying anything off faster. You're not.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I'm thinking, I'm like, this guy it's crazy to me. Anyways, they got these trainers out there that do have some really good stuff. And I don't like bashing anybody, but what I can tell you is this, is that the whole theory behind Make Sales Great Again is to stop the line, is get the product knowledge, serve people, don't just sell them, help people win, give them something that actually supports them. And if what you're offering does not actually add value than tell them that it doesn't add value. Because here's the big thing about sales. People think that when they hear no, they're losing a sale. What they don't realize when they hear the word no, they're actually, if they handle it the right way, are going to get way more business from that no than they would just that one yes. Here's why. Because people expect salespeople to lie. They expect it to be a shady business. Now, if you help them and you specifically say to them, here's the deal. My product's not for you. I wish it was. I wish I could serve you. I wish I could help you. It's just not for you. And I want to help you, and I want to guide you to someone that can help you, because I don't want you to call me back in the future and say I forced you into something that didn't add value to life. That's not who I am as a person. That's not who I am as a company. So what I want to do is guide you to the right person that's going to help you. Now, if you know anybody else you think this product or service might be good for, please send them my way. Don't need any names or numbers now. If you want to give them to me, great, no big deal. But the amount of referral business you can get from a no is way bigger than that one sale when you force someone to say yes, whether you lie or try to manipulate them and do a deal. And people miss that, man. So we got to get back to the core of honesty in sales. We got to get back to actually helping people, serving them into a product or service that adds value to their life. And if you're not doing that, John, then you're blatantly manipulating or you're lying to someone to actually line your pockets. And that is not okay. That's what's going on in today's sales world. And unfortunately, there's a lot of sales companies that are allowing it to happen. I won't.
And let me ask you, Todd, because I 100% agree. And I think, you're hitting some key points. Why and how did you become who you are in that? Because you're in an environment where a lot of the folks do that. They do lie. They do do that. So what was it in you, coming out of where you came from the pool halls, from the gambling world, from the opposite, to have the kind of principles and honesty and moral, and not only personally have it in your world, but to promote it to other people? What was it for you that got you there and gave you that sense of correct values and honesty that we need more of in the world? And that's kind of what the message is that you're taking out there.
Yeah, I think not growing up with everything that we needed or wanted to have financially in life, and seeing my parents kind of fight as hard as they did just to make ends meet. It was a rough environment financially, see, but it was a phenomenal environment in love. Okay. And I always tell people that my parents, they're just my dad before he passed away. My mom, she's still here, 81 years old. She's our rock. She's an extraordinary human being, but they taught us great values, right? And don't get me wrong, John, I made all my mistakes as a kid. I've stolen shit and I've done all sorts of stuff when I was a young kid. I've made a lot of mistakes. But I will tell you that when it comes to actually helping people, I saw a lot of people in the sales world get taken advantage to where they were crying, and it was affecting people's families, and it was affecting their money, and it was affecting, they were coming back and like people promising all these things. And I see these people just broken. And then I saw a lot of these salespeople just keep continuously smiling, like, look at this paycheck I made this week while they're robbing people. Look at this person. People are telling me I just want to bash someone over the head and take all their money today. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make a sale. And I think I just wanted to be the person that stood up for these people to do the right thing. Because I'll be honest with you, John, there's not enough of those people. Money is a very dangerous thing. I've been to the point where I've had none, and I've been to the point where I'm comfortable. And I can tell you it's a very dangerous thing on both factors. When you don't have any money, you'll do anything you can to get it. Let me say that again. When you don't have any money, you'll do anything to get it. But then when you have the money and you find a path to lying to be able to get money, it's almost like free money because you figured out a way for people just to hand you stuff if you just say the right thing. It also becomes a drug to where you just want to continuously do anything you can to get the money. Where the real good people that sell in this world, where the people that I fight for, are the ones that are serving people, that are helping them, that are giving them something of value, and then they are exploding because of it. And I also saw a lot of top salespeople getting awards for being number one in the company when I knew and had proof they're blatantly lying to people. And I saw other people, they were just way better than them at sales. Difference between a great liar and a great seller. That's the whole reason I make shirts like this, because I want people to know that I can lie to you and tell you anything in the world. To sell someone is to serve them. And there's a big difference. So I want to, I guess, kind of be the advocate. I want to be the person that promoted that and show people that you can still sell and serve people, make a crap ton of money, millions of dollars if you do it the right way. So I just want to be the voice of the reason for that, if you will.
Well, obviously, I'm 100% commend you for doing that and for that philosophy and what you're doing in the world, because that's what we need more of. And we need people, like you said, to get back to those old values where you did a handshake and you got, you could trust somebody and you knew somebody was going to, take care of you and not take advantage of you. And so, trying to promote that is the more people to do it, the better. So, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I want to get to some of your great quotes, but I want to get to your book because your book just came out, and I want to just, thank you, because here's the book that just came out, The Ultimate Sales Bible. It's in Barnes and Nobles. It's on Amazon. And, you were very, very kind. My daughter's watching this show, by the way, Sophia, and you were very kind. You wrote her, you sent a book to her, you wrote a letter to her, and you wrote a typed letter and a handwritten letter to her. And I tell you, it was very special, man, very unique that, that you took the time to, share. And I shared it with her, and she's been reading the book and looking forward to read more. So thank you, brother. I appreciate that. That was so very kind of you. But tell us a little bit what, this is your third book. You've been out on the promoting the book. It's doing well on Amazon, I believe. If I can show something here, there's a little bit of where you are as far as in the Amazon world. And then here's where people can get the book on Amazon, The Ultimate Sales Bible Guide. So I encourage everybody to buy the book and read it. And if you're in sales, of course, it's very useful. Or if you're thinking of going into sales, but I think you probably would say on some level, we're all in sales, right? No matter what you do in life. So all the principles that you're promoting and the philosophy of how to do it applies to everybody. So take it away, brother. Tell us a little bit about what took us to this book. You said 4 years of writing, and tell us what the message as we go down the road with it.
No, I appreciate that, man. And, John, I very much so enjoyed sending that to your daughter, and I was grateful that you asked me to do it. She's anybody that's family of yours is family of mine. I'll always be there for you no matter what. It's funny, man. This book, it almost doesn't feel real, to be honest with you. It's like literally holding a celebrity, because it's 547 pages. And by celebrity, I don't mean my face. I mean the book as a celebrity. And I say that because every flight that I would take, and I fly sometimes 2 weeks out of the month, right? Pretty regularly. But every time I was flying, I'll be on my laptop and I'll be writing another chapter. And I started 4.5 years ago. And it took me this long because I wanted this book to have everything there is to know about sales. But you said something, John, that really hit home with me. This book, The Ultimate Sales Bible, is not just for salespeople. It's for everyone. I'll tell you why. You kind of nailed it. Yes, we are all in sales in one form or another. But here's the thing. We're either selling ourselves or we're negotiating something in life. Okay. Everything is a negotiation. Everything is a sale in one form or another. But you got to be serving people in order to do it the right way. So I always tell people, it doesn't matter what business you're in. For instance, we work with, plenty of people that are not so-called in sales that have read through this book already and are talking about how much it has helped them. And they're not technically in sales, if you will. But this book, it's 38 chapters, 547 pages, 143,000 words of my life in 4.5 years that I wrote. And the reason is because I wanted this to be the one-stop shop. I wanted this book to be the one where people go, I don't really have to read any other sales book. Now, I encourage people to do that because there are other fantastic, sales trainers. Victor and Tony, who wrote the foreword for this book, to me, it's the #1 sales trainer on the planet by far, because his integrity-based leader is an extraordinary human being. That being said, this book has everything that every other book has in it, in my opinion. It just does. I feel like someone asked me, when did you stop? When did you know the book was done? And I said, well, I knew the book was done when I got to the last chapter, 38 chapters, and I couldn't think of anything else to put in the book. That's when I knew. I was like, I want this book to have everything. But if you look at my bookshelves back here, I could pull out sales book after sale, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar. I could tell you so many crazy sales books that I've read, but I'm going to tell you, they're missing something. They're missing the connection between the consumer and an educated salesperson today. Because if you look at like the Cardones of the world and the Zig Ziglars and the Brian Tracy, all these extraordinary people, extraordinary human beings, they all have extraordinary stuff out there. Problem is that if you look at like Cardone's, sales methodology or his Cardone University, these are videos of his hair long. He was 25 years ago. He's taken all his videos, and although there's some still great diamonds in that stuff, right? There's really good content. It's just not, a lot of it's not relevant to today's sales world. Just like this book, people are going to think won't be relevant 60, 70 years from now. Well, I built this book to be relevant forever. I wrote this book to be relevant for people to use 100 years from now. That's why I wrote this book the way that I did. And that's the reason why this book is as big as it is. So yeah, man, it was 4.5 years of my life. It was everything from what I've learned in the streets all the way to the boardroom. And it is really putting in perspective of what I believe sales is and what's allowed me to change my life tremendously to a point where people didn't think I was going to go. So that's it. That's the Ultimate Sales Bible. By the way, it is copyrighted. It is trademarked. Jeffrey Gittimore wrote the Sales Bible, had that trademark. And Victor was like, dude, you got to get the Ultimate Sales Bible trademark. I was like, damn, good idea. So I got that and Make Sales Great Again, both mine. I own it.
Right on, brother. And, I think the whole thing that you're saying and what makes it even so more special is that it's about serving the consumer, but serving others. I mean, that putting service first is so important, and it's so important in your philosophy, and it comes across in the book. And I commend you, man. 500. I've written 2 memoirs that I'm trying to get published this year, and I will. And writing's painful for me because I like to be around people and not sitting by myself writing. So to write a book like that and the amount of effort you must put into it to be able to get all that done, I just commend you, man. It's what a hell of an accomplishment and what a contribution.
Well, I had the book signing this last week on March 16th at Barnes & Noble here in Orlando, Florida, and it was fantastic. A bunch of friends, family members came out, some people I didn't know. It was great. It was really cool, dude, to do it in Barnes & Noble. Spoke about the book, got emotional because, again, it's 4.5 years of my life. I never thought it would be done, and to have it in Barnes & Noble globally is a very cool thing, right? But to know that it sold out in the first 6 days that it was out was fantastic. It was still obviously top of the charts. It's doing fantastic out there. So it's a blessing in disguise, to be honest with you, because I didn't really, to make money off a book, John, you got to be Jack Canfield. It's got to be chicken soup for the soul, right? Not a lot of people make money off books, right? But this book, it was built with a servant heart. This book was built to really serve people and help them and change their lives. And if I can help someone change their life, just one person with my words in this book, or me as a human being, that's the win for me. That's worth the 4.5 years of effort. That changes me as a human, because I always hoped that I'd have someone there when I was younger with a book like this, or to mentor me or do something to help me in any way when I wasn't doing the right thing as a kid. And it's funny, we always talk about this, man, that, we always say, man, I wish I would have listened to my parents back then, right? We all always say that, right? The truth is, man, is that I want people to read this book. I want to share it with people, not to make money, but to serve people, which is the reason why I sent out almost 40 free copies to other individuals prior to it being released, like your daughter, because I wanted people to really get in there and really just give me some insight. And I've had a bunch of good reviews on it. By the way, if you haven't left a review, please go leave a review on my book on Amazon. It helps out tremendously. But yeah, man, it's 4.5 years of my life, dude, from pool halls to poker rooms to the boardroom. It's fantastic.
Well, like you said, you did it so that someone at your age could have this information. My daughter put up that she loves all the insights, and you obviously contributed to her at her age. So that's a contribution to me that that you're touching somebody young with the philosophy of how to get successful, but do success the right way in life. And so thank you, brother. I really, really appreciate that, man.
Amen.
And like somebody else said, making sales great again, serving others is definitely key. And that's what you're about, and I think that's what people, come away from this. So yes, I recommend everybody to read the book. And I want to jump into some of your quotes, because I just love some of the quotes you put out. I like stealing people's quotes and putting them on, because I'm, every day I want to remind myself to start off the day with some inspirational music, inspirational thoughts, inspirational quotes. So, I'm on the right path every morning. Gratitude.
Yes,
feeling grateful. But here's some I'm going to ask you to elaborate on. This is your goals for 2024, your main goals, 4 of them.
Yeah. So God, forgive, let go, and risk. Yeah. So I remember someone asked me, like, what are your goals for 24? And one of them is to be a lot stronger in my faith. I was baptized 2.5 years ago, Christian church here, almost 2 years ago now. And I'm getting stronger in my faith every day, and I love it. It's been a huge portion of my life. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet. And a lot of people ask me, like, well, what do you, what's your deal? What's your background? And it's a non-denominational church, mainly Christian church, whatever. And, my family grew up Catholic. And I always tell people, I don't care what you believe in, as long as you believe something good, right? You just believe in something good. I don't talk politics and I don't talk religion with people because, the truth is, John, everybody's full of it. Nobody really knows, dude, right? There's always opinions. Like, a lot of people don't know this, but I had a 2-year probationary scholarship to go to Baylor University to be an attorney. I won one-man Lincoln Douglas and two-man state debate when I was in my junior and senior year of high school. I wanted to be an attorney. That's what I wanted to do. And that all got derailed when my mom got sick. I started playing pool for a living. Whole nother time, whole nother story. But I will tell you, those goals, faith first, right? Let go. I think a lot of people hold on to the past so much that they forget to forgive themselves. So in no particular order, I can tell you that I had a hard time letting go of mistakes and decisions that I had made in the past that guided me and my family down a hard path. And I also had a hard time forgiving people for doing things to me that weren't the best, saying things about me that weren't true, or I found out, or, just bashing me when I wasn't around. It was like hurting me every day. I would just think about it over and over and over again. So being able to forgive, being able to have a stronger faith, being able to let go. And the final one was risk. And the risk for me was going all in. It was literally going all in on myself, right? And I think that sometimes we all talk a big game, but we don't make the moves we need to make in order to give all the risk we need to get to where we want to go. A lot of us are huge talkers. Man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go that. I'm going to change this. And then you never do shit. It's unfortunate because the risk is a part of the reward, as a lot of people think. As cliche as it is, it's all bullshit. We've all said it a million times, but I wasn't risking enough. I wasn't going all in. And I promised myself, this year, no matter what I do, I'm going all in. So that was kind of the final 4 steps, those 4 goals of 2024.
The other thing you threw up, I'd like to have you comment on, is your top 5 flexes.
Yeah. So you can I'll tell you, leave that up for a second, because, standing up for absent friends, here's the thing, man. I grew up in a really tough environment where people were really cool and loyal to you in front of your face, but not behind your back. So, I made it a very, very strong point to make sure that if there's anyone I loved and respected, that no one was ever going to say a negative word around them or about them in front of me. Never, ever, not one time. And if someone wanted to do about me, that's on them. That's who they are. That's what their character is. Gossip for good or stay quiet. If you're going to talk about others, you might as well just be truthful and talk good about them, because we all have problems. We all have bad things going on in our lives, John. And Les Brown said it many years ago, did some mentoring with Les. He said, man, Todd, if you're not walking in a storm, you're either in it or you're walking out of one. Period. End of conversation, right? He's like, so you're always in a storm. What people like to do when they gossip is talk about the bad. They talk about the stuff that actually is going wrong in someone's life, rather than talking about the good. Man, look at John. Look what he's doing. He's another movie. He's doing this. He's doing that. Be proud of him, right? The third one, live with massive gratitude. Listen, man, here's a crazy thing. My phone's recorded right now where I grab it, but I write down 10 gratitudes every day. Something I got from Danelle Delgado I'll never forget. I think it's fantastic. One thing I added to this, which I don't know of anybody that does this other than me, and I've trained a lot of people to do it. It's actually changed their lives a lot. If anybody's watching or listening to this right now, I want you to pay attention. I write down 10 gratitudes for me every morning. I write down 3 goals for me to hit. I mean, like goals that are attainable, right? Like work out for an hour and 20 minutes and then do cardio for another 40. Like these are attainable goals. But one of the biggest things that changed my life forever was actually 3 gratitude texts every day to random people through my phone. So here's what I do. I have like almost, 2,700 contacts in my phone. So what I do is I take my phone, I turn it around so I can't see it, and I start scrolling through the contact portion, and I hit my finger, stop. I turn around like this, and that's the first person I'm going to text a nice gratitude text that day. And I'm going to say, if it was John Duffy, I'd say, hey, John, this is Todd. Just want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Hope you have a fantastic day. I'm going to pray for you today. I just want you to know that sometimes when you think that people aren't thinking about you, they actually are. So have a great day, man. No need for a response. Just want you to know I love you. Right? Then I'll turn my phone back around. I'll scroll through it again. Boom, I'll stop. Next thing I do, turn around. I tell you what, funny story, John. Girl I hadn't talked to in 25 years I went to high school with. True story. This is why I keep doing this every day. Stopped there, and her name was Amber. And I said, Amber, I want to let you know I'm thinking about you. Hope everything's okay. I haven't talked to you in 25 years. That I'm going to pray for you. I hope that today goes well. I hope your life is everything and more that you've ever wanted. And I want you to know that there's someone out there thinking about you when they're not. And I always change up, obviously, what I say, of course, right? And then, John, I got a long text message back. Okay. I don't know if you've ever seen those text messages that have an arrow in them and you have to hit the arrow because they're so long. iPhone actually sums it up. I had to hit the arrow. And super long story short, this girl had made up her mind that morning that she was going to slit her wrist and kill herself. And I was sitting on my couch, and my wife was looking at me, and I was in tears, and she looked at me and she goes, babe, what's the matter? And I said, well, I said, look at this. And I showed her the phone. And, she starts getting emotional. She's like, holy cow. So that's crazy. And the girl wrote to me that I saved her life because it was a divine timing. She felt like it was God, like basically saying that, hey, there are people that care about you even when you don't think they do. And she said, I'm not going to kill myself because of this. I want you to know I appreciate you. Now, she said, I see your stuff online. I haven't seen you since high school. I don't like your posts. I don't comment on your posts. I don't even know if you can see that I see your posts, but I see them. I'm not the person that always hits the like button. I'm not the person that always hits the comment and starts typing all these stuff. I'm not that person, but I see your posts. I'm proud of you, and your posts have changed me. And although I don't tell you that, I'm going to tell you that now because you took the time for somehow God connected us to send me this message. And I thank you, and it saved my life. So, when I talk about like what I do in gratitude, John, like a part of that list of that quote, that changed me. If you can do anything in your life, please trust me on this. Anybody listen to this, send it to people, John, whatever. Tell them to blindly turn their phone around and just pick 3 people every morning. Scroll up to her, start scrolling like crazy, hit the button, just stop, turn around, text that person, gratitude text. The responses you will get will change your life forever. And not enough people are doing it. And we need a lot of good in this world, and that will help change lives.
Wow, brother. I got chills coming up and down my body right now. And I just love it, man. I do the gratitude every day. I write down all those things too, but never heard of doing something like this. And I think it's such a powerful thing to do because, you don't know who it's going to touch and what it's going to do for them. And to take a little bit of time out of your day to do that for others, man, I commend you for doing that. And I think, like you said, I would recommend anybody who are listening to this, what a great exercise, what a great thing to make part of your daily rituals. So maybe, who knows, you're just throwing a pebble in the water and you just don't know what that ripple is going to do. But you might as well be the person that throws that pebble in the water and possibly change somebody. So thank you for sharing that, brother. Man, that is powerful. That is really powerful.
Yes, sir. All right, last one, embrace the heart and find your strength through faith. Obviously, to find your strength through faith is very important to me. It's like I do believe that everything now is because of a higher being. Again, whatever you believe in, as long as it's something good that you believe in, I'm good with, right? Don't mock me for what I believe in. I won't do that to you. I don't believe that anybody ever should. But I'll tell you, man, the embracing the heart is something I think that a lot of people allow ruin their opportunity to succeed in life. You go through these hard times and people give up. And they always say, no one's here for me and I don't have anybody. Well, let me tell you something. There's a lot of times when you're going to go through hard things where you're not going to have anybody other than yourself. And the only person that can change you is yourself anyways, because if you're around positive people, it helps. If you're around positive people, it'll lift you up. Don't get me wrong, but no one's going to do the work for you, right? So I had to start embracing the hard. I wanted things in my life to matter. So when hard came my way, it was almost like I want it to come to me now because I want to be able to do things and handle things that other people can't handle. So I'm the obvious choice when people need someone like me to handle stuff, right? I want that heart. So I embrace it now rather than run from it. I run towards it. There's a massive difference between someone going, man, I can do anything in life and I run towards the hard than saying I got through it. I don't just get through it. I run towards it. I want to be challenged. I want things to come my way, and I want them to come in like light speed. I'll be like, oh, how could you live the anxiety, the fear? Oh, no. I can do anything, and I know that I can. And I know that I'm going to be knocked down, but I was watching the other day, this guy, he said, it's not the fall that hurts. It's the ground when you hit the ground, right? So if you're there and you can just catch yourself before you fall, that hard embracing it is great. And then also Tim Grover always says, if you do get knocked down, you do hit the floor, stay down there for a little bit so you know how it feels. And then you'll never want that feeling again. Well, I embrace the hard every day, man. I do it through my faith and I do it through me as an individual, not cocky, not arrogance, but confidence that I want to use that to serve other people and help them get better.
Well, just to echo that, one of more of your things that kind of like plays off of that is this quote right here. And I think that's just another addition to what you just said, It is basically, you can choose hard or you can choose soft, but at the end of the day, if you just follow pleasure and you don't follow purpose and you don't choose hard and go towards hard, then you're not going to become who you were meant to be and what what you have, the gifts that you have, you're not going to be able to share them at the level you can. So all those messages, I think, are just so powerful. I mean, the biggest challenge right now, I think, going through this hour is like an hour is not enough to talk to you, man. It's just enough. It's just a beginning. We're just like touching the surface of all the things that I would love to have you share with the audience, because all of these things are just, they're great ideas. But more importantly, I think, and you're an example of it, it's not about ideas. It's about doing it.
Yeah.
I think in your speech, if I remember, you didn't say it's not about saying it, it's about doing it, right?
Yeah.
You got to be an example. You got to be example with your actions, not with your words.
Yeah, I can tell you, man, I had a lunch with a very, high-level individual on Saturday, and, he's done a lot of extraordinary things in his life that have probably a lot of people won't do. And we're sitting there meeting for lunch, and we met at 11:30, and we looked at our watches, John, and we're eating lunch, and it was 3:45. It was, we're like, dude, we're here 4 hours. It was crazy, just the conversation, because you're right, man. An hour isn't long enough. I'm always welcome to come back on. I'll always be here for you, and we can be more targeted on what we want to speak about. But here's what I can tell you. I can tell you that no matter who you are and what you're listening to, you're an extraordinary person, and I resonate to you. And I think we became very good friends because real recognizes real. Again, as cliche as a lot of these things sound, there is a lot of validity to these quotes and comments. And I always tell people, no quote that we ever have in life is specifically ours. It's like taking words of others and then putting them together and then, making it your own, if you will. But I can tell you that the direction of your life is directly related to action. Right? A lot of people say, well, Todd, what do you like better, motivation or inspiration? I'm like, man, I like both. You know what I like even better? I like discipline. And a lot of people talk about discipline and motivation. You have to have, well, listen, discipline's going to get you through all the bad motivation. It's going to get you through the times you're not inspired, right? Motivation and inspiration is kind of like a drug. Like it goes in and then you're like pumped up, and I can go to a sales team and a leadership team. I can go to an organization and change the whole culture. And then when I leave, all of a sudden it's down because they don't have leaders that are, taking the baton, if you will, and helping those teams continue to stay on that path. My job is to create amazing leaders in this world. That's I honestly believe that's what I've been put on this earth to do, is to create great leaders. It doesn't have to be someone in sales or leadership, etc. This one says, I won't settle because I know what God put me on earth to do. And if I settle, I'm disrespecting the reason he created me. John, let me tell you something. That is what I'm put on this earth to do, right? I know I'm put on this earth to not just train sales, not to just do deep dives and help businesses become better, but to create leaders. And I think that goes for owners of companies to CEOs, just as I allow people to impact my lives, I want to impact lives as well. But people matter. I always say, put the people before the paycheck. So if you're listening to this show or you're watching John Ever, you're watching a great human being. But I can tell you, Jason Cisneros, one time when he called me, the first time we exchanged numbers he ever called me, it was right after that event in LA. And I remember him in the audience sitting with all these super rich people, whatever, Jason. And he looked at me and he says, or he calls me on the phone. He says, hey, Brother Todd, how's it going, man? You did fantastic. I can't tell you how much I loved your speech. It was talked about the entire weekend, blah, 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 blah. How can I serve you? Now, I want people to understand the words. How can I serve you? You're talking to a guy that's got tattoos all over his body, from the streets, ego, think I can outsell anybody, broke all these records in sales, etc. And I hear the words, how can I serve you, from a guy that's 9 million times more successful than me. And I thought to myself, John, I was like, how can I serve you? Like, why? Like, so I said to him, what do you mean? How can you serve me? Like, I need to be serving you. Like you're the dude, you're the guy, bro. Like, you're the one. And he's like, I was like, I want to learn from you. He's like, no. I don't think you understand. He goes, first lesson. You go through life with a servant mindset. You don't go through life with a cocky arrogance. Confidence is okay. He's like, but your job is to serve people. So you want the first lesson as a brother, as a person who believes in you, as a person that knows that you can go further in life, you have to understand how to serve people and being okay saying, John, how can I serve you? And that changed a lot of my perspective on how I move. So move with the servant mindset. Be you, they'll adjust. Don't worry. You're not going to be for everybody, just as I'm not for everybody. But you have to make moves and take action to be the best version of yourself. You don't do those things at all, you're not going to do anything that you want to do even closely or remotely to what you can in life.
Well, I was going to ask you, what would you close on, but you just did. You just summed it all up, and I just echo all of what you just said. I mean, that servant mindset, that, being of service to others, people don't realize that's the greatest gift you can give, not only others, but yourself.
Amen.
When you're of service to others, and when you're only to service of yourself, that is the worst thing you can do for yourself as well as for others.
Amen.
So yeah, I 100%, man. Well, I think you covered a whole lot, brother. I thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. We're definitely going to do this again.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure everybody checks out and gets your latest book. You can get some of the other earlier books too after when you get a chance, but definitely get the one right now. There you go. The Ultimate Sales Bible, because it's not just about sales. It's so much more. And I just recommend anybody to both get it for themselves, get it as a gift for other people, pay it forward, send it to somebody who can use it. There's so many ways that you can take advantage. And just want to echo once again your whole thing about doing that in the morning with gratitude on your phone to go through and give messages to 3 people. If you do that, it'll probably change your life. And I look forward to doing that as well. Amen. So any other final thoughts? And I'm going to then close out the show. But once again, thank you so much, brother. I'm so blessed that, we came into each other's lives and that, we are brothers for life now. So I appreciate you, man.
Amen, brother. Listen, John, I'm always honored to be on with you, dude. If you ever need anything from me, I'll fly across the country for you, brother. So I appreciate you having me on. God bless everybody who's on here, listening, watching John's show. Share it, do everything you need to. He's an extraordinary human being. I always got your back, man.
Thank you, brother. And the same for you, man. Anytime you need anything, you let me know. 100%. And once again, thank you for the gift to my daughter. That was a very special blessing. So thank you, brother.
All right, man. Well, have a good night, too. Thank you for having me on the show, man.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. So I'm going to close it out, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show today with Todd Speciale, and I hope it motivated, inspired you. But beyond that, motivated, inspired you, I hope it led you to take some action steps and to do stuff to actually apply it in your life so that you do be of service to others, that you do take some of the thoughts that he gave you and you put them into practice, and you change your life and change other people's lives, because that's what we're here for. So I just hope you do that. And if you haven't seen any of my previous 69 podcast shows, check them out on my YouTube channel, Live Courageously. And I have about another 75 friends coming up in the future. And so every Sunday, 3 p.m., this is my next one's coming up. Another couple of amazing friends, military veteran, and just courageous people. So once again, thank you, Todd. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for watching the show. God bless you. And I'll see you next Sunday at 3 p.m.
See you, John. Thank you, brother.
Take care, brother.